So with the chickens on the homestead, it's time to button up the punch list I have for the chicken coop. And on today's episode of the Rugged Homestead, we're going to be building a chicken waterer. You may recall from prior episodes that I have these 75-gallon barrels here that I'm going to be using for rainwater catchment off the roof of my garage. Well, I have an extra one that I'm using for the chicken waterer. This is going to supply the fresh rainwater as drinking water for the chickens. The rain barrel will be standing on this platform that I built that sits along the back end of the coop, and through a series of hoses and PVC pipe, it's going to run into the coop and down along the edge here so that they'll have little nipples at the end to be able to drink out of. First thing I'll be doing is mounting a flange on the bottom of the barrel. This is a 3/4 inch flange, and I'll be cutting out a hole through the center to allow the water to come into the hose and the pipe, and then drilling a series of mounting holes around it. And then I'll put a bead of silicone caulk around here to prevent any leakage. So the first thing to do is to drill the holes. I have a 1 1/4 inch hole saw here, and I've marked out the location of where the holes should go. So I'll drill through. So now I'll mark out where the mounting holes go. And now I'll run a bead of 100% silicone caulk around the opening here and over the mounting holes. Ooh, there we go. That should be enough. Now we can take this. I'll be using sheet metal screws like this. These are stainless steel, and that'll prevent any rusting. These are 1 inch long screws. And now the squeeze out is perfect, and we'll just take this and we'll run it around the edge. And that should provide an effective seal for the flange to mount the hose to. To connect the flange to the hose, I got a riser. This is an irrigation riser, and it screws into the flange, nut to tighten it down, and then you can break these off however you want. So I'll break it off right at this level here. So now this can screw into the flange. But first what I'll do is I'll put some Teflon tape on here to help prevent any leaks again. Just a couple of turns on here. As I said, It'll help prevent leaks. There we go. So I bought this washing machine hose. It's 4 feet long, and that should provide plenty of length to get it to where we want it to go. It comes with a 90-degree elbow on it here, and that way we can have this turn whichever direction we want. What I can do is take another connection here, clean up any burrs, and then we can add some Teflon tape again. And what I have here is a 3/4 to 1 1/4 inch reducer. So the 3/4 inch will screw into the 3/4 inch connector. And then we need a spacer or a coupler. So that'll fit on this end, and I'm not going to glue it on just in case I ever need to take this thing apart to clean. And then the PVC pipe that will end up serving as the waterer pipe connects onto the coupler up there. On the far end of the pipe will go this end cap, and again it'll just fit on, and it won't be glued either. Again, in case I just need to clean it out, I'll be able to open it up and flush it out. To get the hose into the coop here so that it can connect to the pipe, I've actually got to cut through the mesh screen. Now I definitely don't want to cut a hole too big because we don't want anything getting in. But what I'm going to do is, when I cut the hole, I'm actually going to push the hose through from the inside to the outside, and that way any of these pieces of metal will be facing outward. So if something does try to get in, and admittedly it's going to be a pretty small hole, but if any of these pieces of metal be facing outward, and it might serve as a little deterrent from something trying to wriggle its way in. Okay, we have the hose connected to the barrel, which is standing on its platform, and that'll give it some gravity feed into the hose here. And we've got it through the fence like that, and it hooks up to the pipe. Now we've got the pipe running along here. I still need to get some brackets to mount it to the sides here. The next thing I need to do is to drill a series of holes along here to attach the waterers so that the chickens will be able to drink. So I have these watering nipples, and you take a 3-inch bit, and you drill a hole into the pipe, and then these have threads on them. Let's see if I can do that. They have threads on them, so you can screw them in. So I've laid out a series of equally spaced holes, 7 inches apart. That's the minimum recommended, 6 to 7 inches apart. And now I'll drill them in. One last thing I did was made a 1/2-inch vent hole, which I then used some silicone caulk to attach some screening to it. So after putting everything together, I realized that I wanted to put a shutoff valve on the barrel, because if I ever need to work on the system or anything, I can't have 75 gallons of water racing out on me. So I went and I picked up a shutoff valve and an extra nipple, and that's what I'll be attaching now. So on the nipples, I've covered them with Teflon tape, and I'll just screw them into the barrel. Okay. And now I got a PVC shutoff valve, and they just turn off. It's a ball valve, so it's closed, open. So I'll screw this in. And now the other nipple, which I'll put in here. So there it is. It's all hooked up, and now if I need to, I could just shut off the barrel and not have to worry about 75 gallons of water flowing out at me. I'm still somewhat undecided about whether I'm going to put up the rain catchment on here. It would be a waste to let it go. I mean, the water's flowing down here anyway, but the different levels of the roofs make it a little difficult to hook everything up and then have it run into the rain barrel from a first flush system. So what I'm thinking of doing is leaving this barrel intact and then using the rainwater catchment system from the garage, which is going to have several hundred gallons of water in it, and using that. So it'll have a pump attached to it, so I'll be able to just run a hose over to here and fill this up. That's initially how I'm going to leave it, and then we'll see if it would actually be better to put a gutter system up. So what I'm going to do now actually is use a hose and fill up the barrel just to test out the system and make sure there's no leaks. Okay, I filled the water up to about here just to make sure there was enough pressure to push the water down and move it through. Now, I originally had the pipe mounted up here, and I noticed that it was pretty much on line with the spigot over there. So, although it was a little bit lower, I figured I would drop it down a little bit more, and so I dropped it a couple of inches, probably about 6 inches, and now you can see the water flows to each of the valves. And if I need to take off the end, I can just pop off the end cap. I'm probably going to change that out from a end cap to a screw-in cap, because when it's mounted on here, getting that off is actually kind of difficult. So I'll change that to a screw-in case I need to access the system. Now, the winter time, I can't imagine that whole 75 gallons will freeze up, but the chickens might not want to come out of the coop anyway to get water. So I'm not sure if I want to put a heater in there or just put a waterer inside the coop. I don't want the coop getting all wet though, as might happen if there is a waterer in there. So we'll have to see. So if you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you'd already do so. And hit that alarm button, and that way you'll be notified right away when videos like this are posted. And check us out on Facebook, where I regularly post updates on how I'm turning my suburban home into a homestead. Okay, thanks for watching.